Hi, and welcome to another podcast with Hanaz Writers Limited. I'm Charlotte, and I'm a Year 2 teacher. I've had experience working in a nursery for children aged 0 to 4 years old. If you haven't heard any of these podcasts before, then be sure to check them out on Hanaz Writers YouTube and Spotify channels. Now, in today's podcast, I'm going to be talking about the Braille writing system. What is it? Why is it important? And how is it used? So first of all, what is it? Braille is a writing system, and it's used by people who are blind. It is a system of these raised bumps and dots on paper, and the blind person can feel the dots and work out what has been written. The dots are arranged in a certain particular ways for each letter. So a person reading it can just touch the bumps and feel what letters have been printed. Then they read it by putting the letters together, so they kind of feel which letter it is. So this could be an A, this could be a B, and this could be like a D or something. And they'll be like, what? What's an ABD? Abada? Well, or was it BAD? Oh, BAD, but ad. Okay. So then they can work out what's been written, unless they get it wrong. Louis Braille was the one who invented the Braille system. He was blinded when he was around 3 years old, actually. Not sure how. I don't have the full details on that. If you do, please let me know. And he created the Braille system in 1824. So it's been 200 years since the creation of the Braille system. So it's 200 years old this year. And that's amazing. So well done you, Louis Braille. Yay! So when he was inventing the system, he was at the International Institute for Blind Children in Paris. He went there in 1819, and while he was there, he actually learned about a previous writing dot system, which had been invented several years earlier, by someone called Charles Barbier. And this writing system was called night writing, because it was just primarily intended to be used at night time for like battlefield communications. So during the war, I guess they wanted to encrypt their messages from the opposition, or they just wanted to hide, they wanted to hide what they were saying and try to get the messages across. So they used the night writing, and they had dots and bumps, maybe. I'm not sure on the full details. This is all I've got about it. But if you do know anything about it, I would be very welcome to hear what you've got to say. So I'm guessing, they used it to encode their messages and then send it across through the battlefield from person to major to major. And then that meant also, if the other soldiers caught the message, they wouldn't be able to read it at all. They'd just be like, "Oh, what is this? It's bumps and dots on a piece of paper." So his Braille system, Louis Braille's Braille system, was developed when he was only around 15 years old. So he was quite smart, even at 15 years old, and he was getting this invention of the Braille system already starting in place. And around 1824, he developed the 6-dot cell system. So he managed to decide there will only be 6 dots in his system, and he'll arrange the dots for each of the letters in different ways. And it works. And then you could also arrange to create words to put the dots in a certain way, and these dots together mean this word. And there are 63 characters in Braille, and each one is made up of 1 or 6 raised dots. And then they just put together in lines on paper. Now to read it, a person passes their fingers just lightly over the manuscript to feel the dots and bumps on it. And the person reading it then has to recognize the bumps and dots, and then they put the letters together and they form the words. And this system is it's amazing, really. So well done to you, Louis Braille. Thank you for this. It allows someone who can't see, who's blind, gives them a chance to access information and communicate by not having to see something, but by having to feel and touch something. And they don't even have to speak. They could, unless they're telling someone what they're reading. Then that is still pretty cool. It's one of those amazing writing systems. When you're not visually impaired, when you can see everything, then you see writing everywhere. Everything has something written on it. What you don't see, though, are raised dots. Unless you are a blind person, then you know different things have the raised dots on them, or different they will order stuff that has Braille. But most often than not, you don't really see Braille being used very often. Only if you have a blind person, then you'd have someone, oh, we need to teach them how to use Braille, we need to teach them how to use their hands and sensory feelings to get things done. Then you really start to think about it and how it affects people. So it means that um, the blind person has to learn, they have to spend some time learning what the Braille system is. And they have to spend time reading Braille, learning it, learning what the dots mean, learning how to group the different words together, the different dots. And once they have it, once they've learned that system, then they can just start reading more and more. And then if they're really good, they can just create their own writing messages. Because the whole point of learning to write a new system is to then use it, right? So then they can read the work and then they can write their own, especially if they want to be like writers and poets, which is quite cool. That brings me, I remember there was a movie a long time ago and it was like the last book in the world. And this man was carrying around the last book in the world. If you've ever seen this movie, please remind me of the title because I cannot remember the title. But it was such a good movie that I remember what happened. And the guy was basically carrying around this precious book. He wouldn't let anyone see it. And another person was really interested in the book because he was carrying it around. It was like a precious book to him. And he kept it safe. So the other person was like really curious. I was like, what is this book? I want it. And there was a whole war about the book. Yeah. And if you've ever seen this movie, if you know what I'm talking about, then you know that at the end, um, about the book basically. It's a great movie. It's actually really good. I know I'm probably not doing it justice at all. Doesn't help that I've forgotten the name of the title. But it was just such a great movie that I just remembered the way it left me, how I felt afterwards watching it. And it was just, it's just such a good movie. Whoever wrote it, thank you very much. So, when writing in Braille, before you could even write Braille, you need to have a special device. And this device is the allows you to create the dots and bumps on the piece of paper. So there's like it's called a slate, and it has two metal plates that are put together, and a sheet of paper goes in between those two metal plates. And then some slates they have a wooden base, or they have like a guide board that you can just clamp it together. So you clamp it together, and then you clamp the paper in between. And then the two metal plates, one of them has the top one maybe it has like a cell size window to form the cells, and then on the bottom it has the pits where they can push the dots in and had the Braille pattern done. And then they use a little stylus to just press the paper against the pits, and then this raises like it forms the dots and things that you need. So when it is read, the person will read it from right to left. So they have to work out how to feed it from right to left. And then when the sheet is turned over, the dots face upwards, and then they read it from right to left. So whichever way they're reading it is right to left. But then they can read it, they know like, oh, this page is one way, this page is the other way. I think it's important to use the Braille system. Braille system is very important, especially for those who can't see. It allows them a chance to communicate with others. They don't have to speak to each other. They don't have to be looking at each other. They could just be writing in Braille, and then they send it on, and other people who can read Braille can just get the meaning from it. And the Braille system is quite a great. It really is a good system. So thank you very much for that. That's all from me, actually. Thank you very much for listening. If you love this podcast, then be sure to like and subscribe for some more, especially from Hanaz Writers. Before I go, just one last thing. Another want to say just big thank you to Louis Braille for his Braille system. Well done. This year is the 200th anniversary of the Braille system. It's an amazing achievement, an amazing milestone. So big thank you to him. Thank you for creating it. Thank you for inventing it. And thank you for everybody who uses it. Because without you using it, it would be dead by now. And no one would be using it. Thank you very much for listening. if you want to listen to more podcasts, then subscribe to Hanaz Writers on YouTube and Spotify. You can also follow them on Instagram, Facebook, and X, and the handle is at hanaz.writers. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, bye!